Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Move More Material in 2022, How to Dispatch and Manage Logistics Like a Pro, presented by Trux and hosted by Equipment Today magazine and forconstructionpros.com. I'm Becky Schultz, editor of Equipment Today, and I'll be the moderator for this program. Today, our presenters will be addressing market shifts that are impacting material delivery and how the Trux dispatching logistics solution and hauler marketplace are creating efficiency for companies across the U.S. and ensuring a return on their investment. Please note that you're welcome to submit questions at any time during the presentation using the question box on your screen. Our presenters will address as many questions as possible later in the program, with any remaining questions addressed offline following the discussion. In addition, we will offer an on-demand version of this webinar shortly at forconstructionpros.com/webinars. And now I will turn things over to our presenters.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nick Moussab, and I am the Vice President of Sales here at Trux. Really excited to speak with you. My professional career has been solely around helping organizations understand how to digitize processes, become more efficient, and what change management goes into that to ensure their success. Obviously, been working with lots of material producers and large construction companies over the last 15 and a half years or so. And so I have a real passion around the success of our clients. And that's why I'm here today, just to help you guys understand what's out there and what tools can make your business more efficient and better as you look to streamline processes in 2022. I'm going to kick it over to my teammate, Ian, just to give a quick intro.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ian Feinberg. I'm a senior product manager here at Trux. I have spent a great amount of time in the construction software and the construction industry. I previously worked at Viewpoint Construction Software, as well as I was a concrete finisher and a project manager for a large construction company. I'm more than excited to be here at Trux and continue my career here, and look forward to talking with you about things to come. So with that, here is what we'll be presenting today. The current state of material delivery. This is a discussion on the trends of what we're seeing in the market today, as well as we're doing increased workflow efficiency, where you'll do more with less. That's accepting what the market changes are and adapting your business to continue to meet and exceed goals. We want to really talk about the Trux solution as well. And in the second half of our presentation, my incredible teammate here, Nick, will bring us through how Trux is solving for more than the siloed issue in your trucking operation and pulling everything together in one logistics and dispatching solution. He'll also go over Trux Analytics and touch on the Trux Marketplace, which is the nation's largest dump truck marketplace. Finally, he'll go on to the Quantifying ROI and how your business can justify investing in logistics and dispatching tools, specifically at Trux. Excuse me. So, the current state of material delivery and what you need to know. So at Trux, we constantly get feedback from thousands of our producers, contractors, fleets, drivers, and many other roles. And there are a few things we've been hearing and seeing consistently over the past year. First, a changing landscape of material production. Customers are asking that the material be delivered to them with increased visibility on arrival time. Trux customers have seen an average increase of 20% for deliveries versus pickup. Trucking labor and equipment shortages are impacting production revenue goals as well. And that's something we've heard across the board and has been exacerbated by the pandemic, unfortunately. The market shift of having more materials delivered and struggling with employee retention, recruitment, and overall hauling shortages is really putting pressure on producers to create more efficient workflows to get more out of less. And we say more out of less, moving more material doesn't always mean making more material. Understanding this is important. Lastly, the production facilities are trying to piece together several technologies. Those could include homegrown applications, but aren't getting the full picture or ideal functionality. This can be applicable to many of our fleet customers as well. Do these seem familiar to you? As we think about the current state of material delivery, we need to think about where we can find efficiencies and or pain points in your current workflow. Start by asking yourself if you relate to any of these statements. My dispatchers are overloaded. It can include constant phone calls and texts. The process of consolidating tickets and back office paperwork is dragging us down. I don't have great visibility over our entire production and delivery process. That's dispatch, verification, cycle time, real-time material tracking, and payment. We have a limited amount of analytics on our operation, which impacts our ability to make strategic decisions on where to move efficiency. Or I'm having trouble filling open positions and finding third-party haulers. I know I've heard this a lot. I'm sure some of this sounds familiar to you as well. Let's now talk about how we can increase workflow efficiency, which really means how can you do more with less? All right, so here we're going to talk about between existing operational deficiencies and market pressures, something has to be given, something has to give or be gained. That's when looking into your increased workflow efficiency and creating a single source of truth is critical to your success. You really want to give your team the tools to receive orders and digitally dispatch, which increases your efficiency at the plant, pit level, speeds up orders, and you get more out of the hauler's workdays, which is very important to all of us. It also removes paper with digital tickets, less room for manual error and collection mishaps. Process and verify your trucking at EOD for faster payments and ease the DOT compliance reporting. You can also allow your delivery locations to have full visibility into when where material is arriving. That's both customer or your on-site teams. This really does cut down on the unnecessary calls and texts that we talked about earlier throughout the entire delivery process. Real-time visibility on the haulers and daily projects. You can see when projects are running behind, the haulers need adjustments in the routes, and this is overall in real time as well. You can increase your third-party hauler network, and we all know how important having a really good and strong third-party hauler network can be. All right, so increase workflow. When we look at this graphic from the Trux point of view, which I'll be speaking on, this is the most simplistic way to show how all the moving parts of your operation can work together. Start with the office and ticket list dispatch. Move on to the loading at your plant or quarry. That's your hauler communication, your GPS verification, which could be third-party or internal trucking, to your on-site delivery tracking, load delivery verification as well. And then sending this info back to the back office for a full picture of how the loads got out. Nick, who's an expert on this, will bring you through the entire process in more detail. With that, I would like to turn it over to the exciting Nick presentation.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you very much. So I'm going to put a slide up here for you to take a look at, and what you're going to see is 4 steps that you are likely familiar with. And why we decided to sum up, a fairly cumbersome logistics process in 4 steps is that I wanted you to take away one thing. And that's simply that we are not changing the way you conduct business. We are simply making it easier, more efficient, and digitizing it. So I think that's important to note, because I know that sometimes change can appear scary at first, but I wanted you to make sure that you took away that we're not really changing what you're doing, we're just going to make it better. So my guess is these 4 steps are steps that you're doing today, and they each have areas of improvement that could be had simply by being more efficient. So let's go into step 1. So step 1, great news. We've got some customers who want some product, right? And so someone in your organization is going to receive that order, and today you're going to enter that into an order management system, right? Or however you're doing it today. But if you were to leverage the Trux platform, we have the ability to integrate to both your scale system and your accounting system, or other systems if necessary, or not, right, depending on how you like to conduct business. But if we were synced up, the data from the customer order would simply feed right into the Trux platform without anybody having to do any additional data entry. And what that does is that's obviously going to cut down on manual errors and obviously allow for folks to focus on areas that drive better business processes, as opposed to kind of chasing things down and doing manual work. So now that we've got the order, we need to dispatch that order, right? And so as I stated, kind of think of it as that order went into your sales order system. Now it's over into the Trux platform, which you could see here on the right side. As you can see, those would be the orders, and now we have to dispatch them. So you could simply drag and drop those to the appropriate driver and to the location that they're going. And I think that's obviously a much easier way of doing things than likely how you're doing today with texts and phone calls and assigning people all these, these different assignments, and then not necessarily knowing if they're going to show up or whether they're going to accept it. And so we kind of take a lot of that guesswork out and make it real easy for you to not only dispatch and assign it, but give you the visibility into who's taking it where and when it gets there. And we do that with a whole host of different pieces of functionality, but we've got GPS tracking software, and we've got for the delivery tracker. So keeping that full visibility in both the dispatcher's hand and the folks who are on site waiting for the delivery could obviously be quite impactful. So as I stated, right, we're not really changing how you do things today. We're just simply helping you manage those orders digitally. And so here's a couple screenshots of what the haulers might see from a ticket standpoint, as well as what you might see on the dispatching side should you look for proof of delivery as those two pieces of information sync up. I think it's important for you to know that drivers can punch in and punch out, which is obviously is very simple on the phone, which allows for much more accurate payments from an hourly standpoint and cuts down on disputes, right? And some of the other aspects of kind of the punching in and punching out and what should be paid and what should not be paid. I think it's important for you to kind of think about what I said earlier about how we were creating that e-ticket and providing the ability to track it throughout the process, because in this particular situation here, it kind of brings it all together and shows you how you could see visibility from the time you dispatch it to the time that it is delivered, and then how that all syncs together. And everybody involved in that process that has permission to view this data can see into that. And so when you've got visibility cross-functionally, that can obviously cut down on a lot of unnecessary work and a lot of efficiencies. And step 4 is probably one that you are all feel is quite painful, that end-of-day documentation process, right? I mean, you're collecting, just to give a couple examples, right? You got to collect scale tickets. You got to make sure that the drivers, signed them, and that, so you're doing all these things, right? At the end of the day, the haulers want to be paid. You're trying to gather all this information. Things are missing. You're calling people. You're chasing it down just so you can get accurate data to pay folks who move the materials for you, right? And so what Trux platform allows for is for the reconciliation from step 1 all the way to step 4 to ensure that everything matches up. And if for some reason there's something that there's a discrepancy, you can dispute that much quicker, much faster, in a much more documented way, and to ensure that everything is paid accurately. So that's good for the drivers, because ultimately the drivers are going to be paid faster because there's going to be less discrepancies. Everything's done within the system. And I think that's obviously something that makes everybody very happy. You're going to reduce a lot of your time, right? So I know a lot of accounting folks, they're doing a lot of different things, and they're trying to gather all this at the end of the day. And so what can you do with a lot of this time? And I think one thing to hit on is you can focus on your clients and your client experience as opposed to, right, chasing down all this documentation. Comes full circle, and I think that's really the main point that we want to hit on. And verified loads, right? So if you have verified loads, that's always something that I think is something that obviously is important to organizations. So you could start to see how Trux is adding value, right? We've gone through some things, and I think it's important that I list the way we add value here, but let's talk about what it means to you, right? So increase value for trucking, okay? How? And you could see some examples there, but what does it mean to your business? Well, Truck's going to help each hauler actually pick up an additional load per day, which is an increase of about 15%. So you're moving more material and you're paying less to do so, but the hauler is actually making more money than they would have outside of this process. So everybody is very happy, right? So that you can see how that adds value there to your business. So save time dispatching, okay? Very easy to say, very easy to demonstrate here, but what does it mean to your business? And I think a big point that I want to hit on is you don't have to chase down the truckers, okay? You don't have to chase them down. You don't have to find out where they are. You're not babysitting. You're not verifying, right? You're not having to like call everybody all the time. And I think just to have a less hectic environment from that perspective, I think you can see how that could impact your business substantially. Save time and money in the back office. That's near and dear to me. I've been helping folks in that area in a multitude of ways. But how does it really help your business? And so you're just tightening up those accounting processes. You're ensuring, there's less likely for fraudulent activity. You're more accurate, right? But you're actually helping your haulers get paid quicker, which means that they're going to want to work for you and be like your favorite or somebody that is a regular for you that you can constantly use. And that's obviously impactful because nobody has enough truckers these days. Nobody has enough haulers, right? And so if you're doing right by the haulers and you're running an efficient business, then you're seen as somebody who operates from a best practices standpoint, right? And that's something that that's an organization that everybody wants to work with. So I think that you could see how that would be valuable to your organization. And trucking's expensive, right? I think we know our gas prices continue to go up, and you got businesses booming, right? So wherever you could save money, you really would like to. And trucking in this particular case, right, could be obviously a lot of money to your organization. So anywhere where you could shave a little bit of dollars without jeopardizing your relationships with your haulers, your vendors, and your clients is obviously going to add quite a bit of value. And so we think that the way it impacts your business is that you're always paying accurately, and you feel confident that you're doing so, right? And I think that in its own right could be quite valuable. So we give you all this digital information, and we collect all these data points, and we make everything very seamlessly. And it adds a lot of value from the day-to-day perspective. But we know that a lot of folks in the construction space do not really have a lot of visibility into their day-to-day operations, right? You got plants all over, haulers are all over, right? So these organizations tend to be very reactive, right? And you can run an organization reactively, but that brings in variable costs, that brings in a lot of time consumption. And so by providing this data and bringing it up front, we can help organizations become proactive. So they can start to evaluate these data points and make real-time business decisions, both present and for the future, right? That will ultimately help them operate in a better way, and that they can benchmark across best practices to do so. And so we're providing some out-of-the-box standard reports, and some of them will be dashboards, and some of them will be applicable to kind of your operations folks, your finance folks. And then we've also have this really incredible service it's actually consultative, where we sit down with folks from a quarterly business review perspective, understand what are some of the goals that you're looking to accomplish, and what data points would need to be part of that to help you accomplish it. And then we provide a consultative approach to help you ensure those data points are there. We can create custom reports that are impactful for your business. And then obviously on an ongoing basis, help you monitor that and make changes appropriately so that you can make better business decisions and provide that visibility to all the folks within your organization. And I think that's something that is probably the most valuable aspect to this, at least in my opinion, is that you have all this data, and now you can slice it and dice it any way that you want, and just provide that data from a reporting perspective to executives, all the way down to just helping folks understand, right, what we need to do to get better. And so if that's a value to folks like a lot of our clients, we'd love that. Talk to you about that, and it is included in our in our standard offer. I have good news. I know that everybody on this call, likely business is booming, and they are struggling to find additional supply, right? I mean, that's happening. We're hearing it all over the country. And so part of our tool integrated with the dispatching aspect is our Trux Marketplace. And what Trux Marketplace is simply an additional third-party tool that we connect haulers and businesses that, to help you find more trucking in a very streamlined fashion. Now, we are, in a lot of ways, helping organizations more so in certain areas, but this is an area that continues to grow for us in different parts of the country. And it's been the biggest driver of our business over the course of the last couple years. So here's what I could talk about this for days, because it's obviously something that's very near and dear to me, and something that solves a lot of problems for folks in today's environment. But I just want to hit on like a couple important things. We have over 35,000 insured haulers, and I want to hit on that for one main reason. When we are enrolling these haulers, we are ensuring that they are in compliance. So in order to be verified on our system, they need to have the appropriate insurance. They need to have their equipment needs to be up to snuff, right? And that way, then you simply have confidence that whomever is coming to pick up or deliver, right, has already been vetted out. And that obviously has a lot of value, because that can be very time consuming in its own right for an organization, especially when trying to find additional haulers last minute. You don't have to worry about those last minute phone calls and texts and all those other aspects of it. And I think what it does is it allows for folks to, from a hauler's perspective, actually increase their business, because now we're providing them a tool where if they decided that they wanted to purchase another vehicle, we're giving them an outlet now to be able to get that truck on the road, right, and work at a full capacity so that it can make money. And I think the haulers that we work with, the fleets that we work with, this is a tool to help them grow, as well as a tool to help our construction companies and our material producers, clients grow as well. And you could keep track of all of this, right? So, hey, third-party truckers that we just decided to do business with, we don't know them that well. Where are they? Well, this is all visible within our platform. So you never lose any of the functionality and visibility that you have with your internal and third-party haulers that you use today when you hire additional haulers from the marketplace. So I think it's important to obviously hit on that. And good news is there's some consolidated invoices. And so we could actually pay those haulers, and we do pay those haulers on your behalf. And then we send you one invoice for all of the payments that we make. And so obviously that cuts down on a lot of time on your side, and it allows you to do quick due diligence as to who did what and how much you need to pay. So I thought that was worth noting. I also know, I've been doing this a long time, that a lot of folks on this call have probably wanted to implement something like this for quite some time. But there's always competing projects. Folks tend to make decisions based off of what's going to drive ROI, right? If I invest this, what do I get out of it? What's the payback period? When does it start to pay off, right? And that can be hard to compile when you are being pulled in all different directions. And so since we know that, right, we have a way of working with our clients, taking into account their idiosyncrasies, right, and the way that they conduct business and their metrics, and producing what I would say is an ROI packet that they could bring and work with their internal folks to get buy-in both from their teammates as well as senior level executives to get sign off to evaluate a system like this, get budgets approved. This is just a screenshot of one of those ROIs that we conducted for one of our largest clients to help them actually get this project approved and get implemented. And so they're a very sizable organization. And I'm hoping that the percentage numbers here are very appealing to you. And maybe you believe them, maybe you kind of believe them, but I can tell you this, we will work with you on your own individual ROI so that the numbers that you bring to your team, you have confidence in, and that you can support them and you can look like you've done the appropriate research and due diligence, and that we can make you a champion within your own organization to get this done. So I wanted you to know that we're here to help you in that regard, right? We're not here to get you excited and then make you do all the heavy lifting. Trux in its own right is going to help you be successful in that process. And if you have interest in working with us on it, I mean, I would love to talk with you about it and hear what those metrics are on your end. So I just put up a little survey here because it's important for Ian and I to know why you're here, because there's going to be some follow-up and whatnot. And we don't like to pester people, right? We want to make sure that, we're educating you guys. And if you'd like to talk with us more, we do follow up with you. So if you could just take some time just to let us know why you're here, it would just be very helpful in terms of how we communicate with you moving forward. I'll leave it up for one more minute. We're getting close. All right. Wow. Oh, you guys are great. Every single person answered. That's awesome. Really appreciate that. My guess is I know we threw a lot at you today, and I know I could talk fast. I tried to talk a little slower. I'm from New Jersey, but I get excited about this kind of thing. But we did want to take time to answer your questions, right? My guess is that you've got a bunch, and we'll take the time now with the remaining, time to answer those questions as thoroughly as we can. And if for some reason, right, we can't get to all the questions, or we didn't answer it the way you wanted, please let us know. We'll follow up with you and provide any information you need, right, to help answer that question fully, so you feel confident in one way or another. So if you have any questions,
if you don't mind, I can step in, and there are some questions that have come in.
Great.
I'll start you off with what looks to be a fairly easy one. Who at my business will have access to the platform? And they cite the back office, admin, leadership, etc.
Yeah, I'll jump in here and take these. Great question, as well as really, really great job, Nick. So thank you for leading up to where we are here. The answer is yes. To every one of your questions there. Trux is here to support those roles. I think I heard back office, the admins, leadership, everybody. Our solution is based to help improve efficiency on every piece that you're currently doing. And as Nick said previously, I'd love, as well as he, to talk with you about any of those problem points that you may be having, or the roles that we could help improve, and show you where Trux is a great solution for you.
Hey, Ian, could I just interject too here? So one of the things I wanted to bring up is this is permission-based as well. So you can open it up to whomever you'd like and close it down to whomever you'd like, and you could provide different views based off of user role. And so I just thought I'd add that as well. So this who sees what and who's involved really depends on the client and their preferences and how they operate and run their business. So thank you, Ian.
No, thank you.
All right, jumping into our next question, they're asking, if we were to implement something like this, how would the process work to get drivers set up on the Trux app?
I'll also jump in on this one. Very good question. And of course, we want this to be as easy as possible. Very busy schedules on the run. We want it to be the easiest as possible, and thankfully it is. And so you'll log in, you'll set up your fleet, your trucks. You can send the invite out directly to the drivers there. They can download the app in either the Apple Store as well as the Google Store or App Store, and very easily set up to then be assigned to be a driver. So it's very easy to set up drivers in the system, and it's a very proven system as well.
I'd also, may I get excited about this stuff. So we are software as a service, right? We consider ourselves software as a service. So part of what we do is we provide software and service. And so one of the services that we provide is actually the education and enrollment of the haulers. So we know, I know what some of you are thinking. Some of these guys have flip phones. Some of these guys don't want, they don't want this. So we actually get that, and we know that. And one of the things that we do is we kind of green, yellow, red the haulers that our folks have. And green is like, hey, these guys will be really easy to work with. Yellow is like, hey, we kind of need we might need to be a little bit more hand holding here. And the red is, hey, these guys really might resist. So we got to put some real tactical and educational kind of strategies in place to get these folks comfortable. And that's all part of what we do to ensure your success. So we're not like, hey, good luck. It's very much involved and very much part of what we do.
And that actually ties in really well with the next question. They're asking, what kind of onboarding and ongoing support does Trux offer?
Wow. Yeah, so Nick just said a lot of that, but we have tremendous onboarding. We have specialists to help, like he said, as well as tutorials, knowledge-based. The help is really intuitive and easy to follow and shows you how to do the steps itself. And when in the app, the help there as well shows you how to use it. It's very, very helpful. For support, from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, we have the live support as well as off hours as needed for emergencies.
Dedicated. You'll have that's very good, Ian. You'll have a dedicated account manager. You'll have and within that account management, you're going to have, as to Ian's point, you're going to have subject matter experts who have very specific roles in terms of what they're going to do for you. So there'll be folks who enroll your hauler. There'll be folks who work with your finance folks, right? So we've got payment specialists and other folks who are part of that account management team and supporting roles. Just to ensure that you've got a lot of support throughout the process. It is ongoing. It never ends. In fact, we do quarterly business reviews and all the things necessary to ensure your ongoing success. And it is really one of our strongest suits because, like I said, we are software as a service, and that is another service we provide. And that's all included in the offering. It's not like we upcharge you to support you. We know that supporting you is our job, and so we do that, and there is no additional cost to you, including all those videos and extra documentation that Ian had mentioned.
Wonderful. And here's another question that came in. Is your system compliant for DOT projects with e-ticketing?
Yeah, compliant as well as efficient, and we improved that process dramatically in terms of the reporting. So as we showed earlier in the slides, if you have time to go back through and look later, you'll see that that's covered there as well, but absolutely. And maybe Nick may have more on that as well, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually one of the things we're doing. We work very closely with the DOTs. In fact, we've helped some of the DOTs write some of the requirements for e-ticketing compliance. So just because we had some good experience with it, so it is something that we do and are compliant with.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like we are getting down to our time limit here, and it doesn't appear there are any other questions coming in, but I see on the screen we do have an email and a phone number. I assume that our viewers can use that to access more information.
Just 1 second. There looks like there is one question from Teresa. Teresa asked,
I missed that.
What products and services are coming next? I love this question. One of the best, I think what I'll do is I'll hit on the thing I'm most excited about is early payments for haulers. And what I mean by that is if a hauler would, so the way that we can do payments is we pay all haulers within 7 days of the completion of work, and we bill our clients and they pay us in 21 days. Okay, so it's important for you to know that. So we pay in 7, you guys don't have to pay us for 21, okay? Or 21 days. what we are going to do is offer haulers, if they'd like to be paid earlier than those 7 days, we give them options that say, hey, if you'd like to be paid in 1 day or 2 days, right? Maybe it's 4.5%, and that whatever the percentage is based off of how early the client is paid, we pass back a big portion of that percentage to our clients to offset the cost of the software. So if enough haulers actually took advantage of this, which many of them will, this system not only does it drive this huge ROI, but ultimately these incentives, these rebates, if you will, would almost offset the entire cost of the system at some point, really driving that ROI up, right? And so that's something that I'm very excited about, is this early payment option for the haulers, both on the marketplace side and within the dispatching tools.
And then I'd like to add on to that as well, since, as product manager, I live for this stuff. I'm helping with that expedited pay as well as how we'd handle disputes for that. I'll be handling the system of record next, so that we can make sure that we know exactly what each calculated field should be for the system of record, so we can do exactly what he said for the pay. And then hourly is something we're heavily invested in as well, so that you can have that for your assignment and load types.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. And like I mentioned before, there is an email and an 800 number there on the screen if you'd like to take note of that for any additional questions that you may have or any follow-up that you'd like to have. So I think at this point we will go ahead and conclude our program for today. I'd like to thank Nick Moussab and Ian Feinberg at Trux for joining us and for sharing their insights. And just as a reminder, you can access an on-demand version of this webinar shortly at forconstructionpros.com/webinar. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Happy holidays.